My name is Lori, and I want to thank you for joining us here at Auctria. I say us today because I'm joined by our founder, Rob Walker, and he is the founder and an originator of Auctria.com. And if you've been with us for a long time, it was Charity Auction Organizer back then, and it has evolved to Auctria. And he'll be joining us for the discussion for questions and answers throughout the presentation and at the end also. So I'm happy to have everybody here. I see all the hellos coming in, and I'm glad to see that. Hey, I want to ask you a quick question before we get started. I want to know what type of auction you guys are running or have run or are going to run. So will it be an online-only auction? Is it an event-based auction where it has a silent and or live auction? Or is it both an online auction and an event-based auction? I'm always curious to know what kind of auctions you guys are running and how to queue up some of the slides that come through so that I make sure that I'm focused on things that are important to you. It looks like about half of the respondents have clicked in an answer. If you want to click in an answer, that'd be awesome. That way we can get a tally of the entire group. It looks like right now the event-based auctions are beating out the online auctions. The online auctions are actually at 0 right now. So I guess nobody's running an online auction. Maybe you'll come to my next webinar talking about online auctions and you'll change your mind, or do a second auction throughout the school year and do online only, or school year through the calendar year. I'll go ahead and some voting here. It looks like there's a couple people still clicking in to the webinar as well as into the survey. So I'll give it another couple seconds and I'll share the results here. So apparently none of you will be running any online auctions. The majority of you will be running an event-based silent or live, and a good chunk, 24%, will be running an online and event-based auction. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that information with me. Let's go ahead and get into our presentation. Oops. Let's go ahead and get into our presentation. I'm planning on the entire presentation taking about 30 minutes, and then we can open it up to questions and answers. So, like I said, I want to thank you for joining us. This is our Getting Started with Auctria, and today we'll be focusing on getting started with the Auctria program, and planning and preparing now will really make for a stress-free and successful auction fundraiser. Like I said, my name is Lori, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Auctria, and we're joined by a super fabulous representative from our famous support team. And like I said, Rob, he's not only a representative, he's the founder of Auctria. So I want to extend a warm welcome to Rob here today and thank him for joining. Our goal is to help fundraising groups make the most out of their auction fundraiser, and that's been our goal ever since Auctria was developed. This webinar is part of an ongoing series with exclusive content from Auctria, so please be on the lookout for additional topics. And if there's something you want us to webinar on, drop us an email, drop us a note. We're always looking to provide information that's good for you. So you want to start the auction off on the right foot and make your good auction fundraiser great. That's our purpose of this webinar, is to help guide and send you off with some useful information to help make your auction soar. Just a quick overview and some background information on Auctria. Auctria was founded in 2011 as Charity Auction Organizer. We updated our name and logo in 2016, and like many awesome tools, the program was developed out of a need. Honestly, we too were tired of paper bid sheets, unorganized tracking, long, cumbersome checkouts. There has to be a better way. Any of you guys nodding your head right now also? So our founder brilliantly developed Auctria from the ground up, taking into account the entire auction process, from the first donation to the last receipt and all the bidding in between. For some background, since its inception, Auctria has been used to run fundraisers for over 21,000 auctions. That's a combination of live, silent, and online. About a third of those are school or student-based, and the other two-thirds are animal lovers, arts and culture, humanity, disease, wellness. There's been 1.6 million bidders that have come through Auctria, and that's equivalent to the population of the entire city of Philadelphia, to give you a visual. Auctria has helped groups fundraise over $100 million, and we're so glad that you're being able to do this and give back to your local communities. Still, every day is new, and we are always appreciative of feedback. Through the years, feedback has always guided us in improving features such as ticketing, table seating, sharing buttons. The newest feature that rolled out the first quarter of 2019 is the mobile app. So I have some details for that later on if you haven't had a chance to experience it. So first, some housekeeping. I'd like to hold all questions as we travel through the slides. However, feel free to drop any questions or comments you have into the chat box in the lower right-hand corner that I know you found already. And at the conclusion, we'll do a Q&A where we'll answer some questions and reply to the comments that have been posted. And I know the next question that you're asking is, will the slides and links and resources be available? Absolutely. As soon as I close out of the auction, or as soon as we close out of the webinar, there'll be a pop-up screen immediately after it concludes. And that'll be the web page where you'll be able to see our previous webinars and then click in and see some resources from all the links that we've talked about. So when that happens, go ahead and star the page, save the page, you could Facebook it too, favorite the page, and go back to it whenever you need to. So here's an overview of the agenda. In Planning for Success, we're going to talk about Auctria navigation and our quick start guides, setting up the auction organization, user permissions, credit card connectivity. We'll talk a little bit about branding, and that segues smoothly into setting up the website. Now, we're not going to do a big, full blown out on how to set up a website because that will take up an entire webinar. So I'm going to go over a couple quick tips on that. Then we'll talk about some newsletters and articles and questions and answers. So as we move, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't advance to the agenda slide. That's my fault. So that's the agenda that I just rattled off to you. So if you've ever chatted with our support team, you will recognize these names. Rob and Tracy work very hard to ensure that your auction does the best it can with the Auctria program. Like I said, we're joined here today by Rob, the founder of Auctria, to answer your questions live. When you first log into the Auctria program, you will be on the main Auctria dashboard. This is where you get a quick status update of all things auction related in grand roll-up statistics. On the left-hand side is the sidebar, and that's the main menu where you'll find the navigation buttons to access all the main features. The sidebar collapses and expands with the three small dashed lines at the tippy top left-hand side. If you've ever collapsed this by accident, this is how you expand it again. The central part of the auction dashboard provides an overview of your entire auction, including items, bidders, and income. The pretty boxes in the middle is the central part of the auction dashboard. And like I said, this provides an overview of your entire auction. I want to draw your attention to the number 1, and I want to draw your attention to the yellow circle. Inside the yellow circle, you'll see a plus sign. This plus sign, which is also on the bidders, indicates that it is clickable and you can expand directly from that unit. On the dashboard, you get a bird's eye view of the entire auction in a numerical fashion. You'll see the number of bidders, the number of items, and your total income. You also have fingertip access to some of the most important setup features for your Auctria license is your online registration status, your auction website URL, your credit card status, whether you're in test or live mode, your texting phone number, if you have one in place, and your Auctria license status is there too. If you take a look at the pink 2, this is the item summary. The item summary shows the quantity of item types, and it provides quick links to details. You'll see the total items as well as a breakdown by types of items. And what I mean by that is live items, silent items, online, or for sale. Whenever you see the text in blue, you can click down on any of those and drill down to more details. Drawing your attention to the pink number 3 is your income area. The income summary shows a breakdown of income sources and provides quick links to details also. Here you'll see donor donations, closed bids, and in-progress activity. Same thing here. Wherever there's blue text, it's clickable, and you can drill down to get more information with just a single touch. So in the top right-hand corner, when you click on the 3 dots, Auctria Help is nearby. It's sitting right in the top-hand corner of your dashboard and your admin screens. Like I said, you click the 3 vertical dots and you'll see a drop-down like the one shown here. This is the built-in GPS of Auctria. This is where you access the user guide and quick start guides. So just click the 3 dots, the menu will appear. And this is the shortcut that we'll most frequently use when you ask yourself, how do I, how can I, how do we, is this available? Click on the user guide and there should be some answers for you in there. The quick start guide is a really great area to really acquaint yourself with the Auctria program. You can walk through the key setup screens for your auction step by step and screen by screen. The quick start guides for getting all things auction up and running are divided by topic. Each topic starts with a conceptual information and then how it's executed in Auctria. And that's kind of what we'll go through here. We'll talk about some concepts and then how to actually execute them in Auctria. So the quick start guide goes through the options that you may or may not have thought of and screenshots for setup, walking you through each component. Remember, like I said, Auctria has been used in over 21,000 auctions, and through those experiences, new features and a wide variety of options have been added to make every effort to cover most of the what ifs or can we. So when you go through the quick start guides, not all the steps will be applicable to your event. So you can skip the ones that you're not using, but they're there in case you change your mind. So the quick start guides are there for organization setup, auction setup, credit cards, understanding and using item types, tickets, website bidder, setting up an online auction, as well as some advice on training your team for the auction. Here's some additional navigation information that'll make it easier for you to get around and about in Auctria. Throughout this webinar, I'll be using a fictional organization and an auction from Teddy Bear Elementary School, completely made up, to illustrate the features and see some images and references that are pertinent to our discussion here. Globally, on all Auctria admin pages, there's a blue top banner, and that's always present. There's 4 icons across the top. These are your friends. They're my friends too. You see a magnifying glass, a question mark, a speech bubble, and a bell. Okay, the magnifying glass is really cool. It brings up a search bar, and this searches your auction data. So in this image, I've typed in Teddy, T-E-D-D-Y, and then search. The system has shown me where that term appears. It could be in items, bidders, or donors. So it's searching your auction data. Oops. The question mark searches the Auctria user guide. So you click on the question mark once and a search field appears where you can type in whatever term you need help with. Click again and the search bar goes away and takes you directly to the user guide to browse topics. The bell is actually really cool too. This displays all the updates that have been made to the Auctria program. Like I said, we're always adding and adjusting to optimize your auction experience. So click the bell to see the latest changes. You'll find a complete archive of previous updates here too. So if your organization uses Auctria 1 or 2 times a year, it's worth a few minutes to scroll through and see what's evolved since you've last logged on. The speech bubble is the in-app messaging door, kind of like knocking on the door, ringing the bell. Click on the bubble and you'll see a window displayed here with a hi there. That's the one in the center. We always suggest trying to search the Auctria guide, which has lots of descriptions and screenshots. But if you're stuck, please reach out. The Auctria support team is not 24 hours. They do sleep. However, we try to reply as quickly as possible. And when you're leaving a note, please try to provide as much details as you can in the question. That way we can give you an accurate information back that'll help you move on quickly. You'll receive a pop-up notification on the site of our replies, as well as an email. And have you asked a question before and totally forgot what the answer is? No, I've never done that. You can also access previous conversations at any point by clicking on the blue text under the support team photos. In a little bit of text, it says previous conversations. If you click on that, it'll bring up your complete chat history. This next page is a visualization of the hierarchy of your Auctria organization, and it gives you a picture of how everything is set up. The organization is at the top, and the organization is the purchaser and the owner of the Auctria license. Depending on your purchase, determines the number of events you may run during the license year. So for bronze, it's 2, silver, it's 4, gold is 8, and platinum is unlimited. The organization level details were most likely set up upon purchase. However, they may not have been. And now, before the auction starts, is a great time to review the details. At the org level, this is where you're going to set up a logo, your credit card connections, your social media links, and donors are at the organization level also. Each event then has its own items, bidders, website. And then you can also set your user admin levels by event too. And I'll get into some details for that. So on the nav bar on the bottom left is the organization. There are 3 very important tabs that I've circled in orange, yellow, and green here. On the orange, when you click on that, you'll see the details of the organizations. This is where you set up the main email, your BCC email, the organization's website, and time zone. The yellow circle is your social media. You only have to do these once. So you want to set up your social media where you'll connect and use the page to enter your social media details. Then your social media will be used in emails, on your website. You have lots of choices here. You can do Facebook and Google, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, or YouTube. I'm going to state the obvious, but use only those that you keep updated. Nothing is worse than clicking on a social media link and the most recent post is months or years old. If you're a cause out there and you want somebody to care about you, then make sure you have some current posts up there, or just don't use it. If you don't use it and you don't link it, the icons will not appear. Only the icons that you connect will be and populated will show. Under the green tab, little obvious there. It says logo area. Upload a logo for the organization here. Later, you'll be able to add a logo for the auction level. Some groups want to add a logo for each event, and that's a best practice that I suggest. Maybe include the calendar year in the event name. So if you've been to any of my other webinars, you'll see the logo for one of my favorite schools locally, Bids for Kids, and this is their cute little logo. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I want you to think about branding the auction. Establish a hallmark that is recognized. Use the logo and tagline consistently on all communications regarding your auction fundraising, whether it be letters or newsletters, website handout, banners, general communications, and build on it year after year. Branding the auction will give your auction a life of its own, and it'll make your auction very memorable. Use the name and logo across all aspects. Branding the auction now will reap you benefits. This Bids for Kids logo was implemented about 9 years ago after the first event that they had, and Bids for Kids is a household name in the general community. No kidding. New kindergarten families, before school even starts, ask, when's Bids for Kids planned for the upcoming school year? And I'm telling you, when they go in and ask for donations to their local restaurants and services nearby, they recognize the logo also because it's their local school and it's their local event that they want to support. Establish your social media presence early. Don't do it a week before the auction. Do it months before the auction, and do it where your stakeholders hang out socially. If they're on Facebook, be on Facebook. If they're not on Facebook, don't bother. If they're on Twitter or Instagram, spend your time on those platforms. Use photos, videos, sneak peeks of the venue, snapshots of food that'll be on the menu, auction items, anything that can visually show your auction story and the story for your cause. So like I mentioned, there's 2 logos that you will want to set up, the organization logo and the auction logo. Yes, you can use the same image. However, I really recommend that it's a best practice that we talked about is branding the auction and giving it a life of its own. Then you can include pertinent information like the current event date and the logo image too. In this example, on the right-hand side, you can see the auction logo was loaded here for a Giving Tuesday event. So of course, we did a special Giving Tuesday logo to draw attention to the special fundraising day and help differentiate it. So let's just talk quickly about logo management and image management. This is consistent throughout all of Auctria, and whether you're adding or deleting an image for an organization, or even items, you'll see a screen that looks like this. There will be a pencil mark to edit, a red X to delete. The auction logo is stored under the Auction Images tab. The organization logo is made accessible across all auctions, and that's under Organizations logo tab. And as I chatted about before, we're always adding new features. And one of the newest is being able to carry over the branding to all the emails. Over the years, Auctria app has evolved in helping groups to better communicate with bidders and donors. We've always had statements and receipts as part of the core, but now they've gotten even better. And we launched, it was beta recently, but now we just call it the new email editor. It's automatic for all new events, effective 4/9, which is literally what, yesterday. It was an opt-in before for any events, and you could have used it if you wanted to as a beta, but now it's an automatic. So if you create an event prior to yesterday, you're still going to have to opt into it. But if you're just creating an event today or going forward, this will be automatic for your new email feature. I hope I didn't confuse anybody there. The new editor allows you to access the new email features, and the new email features are really cool. You've got bidder invitations, registration, emails, your online access outbid notifications and statements, your e-tickets statement, and your system-generated emails, your outbid notice, donation notice, and purchase notices can all be managed under that same area. Let's talk credit cards, because that's what everybody wants to talk about when you're setting up an organization. Auctria supports integrated credit card transactions from 2 industry leaders. And if I had asked you guys where you are from, you'd probably be punching in all over North America. And both of these services cover those areas. So that's why we use Stripe and Authorize.net. Stripe processing fees are 30 cents plus a 2.9 per transaction fee in North America. Stripe also has some discounted pricing for 501c3 organizations. So if that applies to you, make sure you're receiving their discount. The second option for credit cards is Authorize.net. This is essentially using Auctria as a gateway to your Authorize.net. And their current plan, I believe, is $25 a month, regardless of usage, and then a per transaction fee of about 10 cents plus the processing fee from your merchant account. I'm going to bottom line it for you. If you're not set up with a credit card vendor yet, Stripe is definitely my suggested vendor for you. If you already use and love Authorize.net, then by all means connect and use them. In each case, credit card numbers are saved securely with the payment processor, not Auctria, and only a token is saved within Auctria. Each are completely integrated, yet give you the safety and security and peace of mind that you want when you're running an auction fundraiser. So for setup and usage, using the integrated card processing in Auctria will allow you to streamline the entire auction event. And that's our goal at Auctria, from start to finish, run everything through and everything will talk to everything as you go. So using the integrated card processing with Auctria, you will connect your Stripe account or your Authorize.net. You can use test and live recording modes. You can use credit card readers if you'd like. You can charge processing fees, and I'll go into that in a little bit. You can define your credit card processing preferences, which is tied together. You can register a card to a bidder. If necessary, you can issue a credit card refund. You can view your reports, export your data, and if necessary, remove all of the registered cards. To access the credit card functions, click Credit Cards under Communications on the left-hand menu. You can set any, so then you'll go to this screen, and then you can set any auction to be, sorry about that, to be either in test or live mode for credit card processing. When an auction is in test mode, you can only process charges using a special test credit card, but it gives you a chance to mess around and not screw anything up in your auction that's already up and running or that you're working on as a live event. The functionality enables you to test for it. Click the pencil icon to make any changes. The Auctria credit card settings is set to your preferences. So the credit card processing mode, the default is live, and you can change it to test if necessary. Many times we are asked, can we pass along the credit card fees to the bidders? The answer to this question is yes. We call those surcharge settings, and those are set here too. Credit card fee handling can be either normal or surcharge. Let's talk through these options. So you have two choices in handling credit card fees. The organization can absorb the credit card fees, or you can charge the bidder for the credit card fees. Think through this, though, before you do make a choice. Consider the two schools of thought. Consider the credit card fees as the price of doing business, and you don't want to nickel and dime the generous donors. Or do the donors want to make the donation whole and want to absorb those fees? Ask yourself those questions before you make those decisions. The default credit card fees handling mode is set to normal. I'm using a capital N there because that's what it is, which means the organization will absorb the external credit card processing fees and not pass the fees on to the purchaser. The other option, like I said, is surcharge, where the bidder is charged for the fees so that the deposit you receive will match the amount of the original purchase and what is owed. So under normal conditions, like I said, the bidder is not charged an amount above the purchase price to include the additional processing fees. However, when donors receive their request for payment, they will have the option to voluntarily pay towards offsetting the credit card fees. Then this becomes the choice on behalf of the bidder. Card readers. We get lots of questions about card readers also, so let me help clarify. To save you time in having to type credit card numbers into a payment system, you can use certain USB credit card readers to swipe the credit cards. USB credit card readers will work with a desktop or a laptop computer using Windows or Mac. USB credit card readers are not compatible with tablets or mobile phones. Heed some advice though. USB readers do not seem to be standardized, so we can't guarantee that all brands will work. Thus, we did a bunch of the homework and can recommend a few brands and types that we know that are compatible. After the webinar concludes, I'll give you the exact links. We chose these because you only need the hardware swiper and no other software is needed to use these readers along with our website. The readers we recommend range from $18 for purchase, or there's a couple of them that are for rent for like $8 for 2 weeks with a $13 or so deposit. It is possible that the manufacturers change the specs from time to time, so it's a good practice to install the readers with enough time to perform a test and trial run before your event. If you have any issues, let us know. We're always looking to update our information. And this leads me to another great point. Do your test run and your trial runs and your run-throughs of your auction at the location where your auction is going to be to test out the connectivity and the Wi-Fi. I can't tell you how many times we've gone to an event and all of a sudden the Wi-Fi is down or we didn't have the right access code. So go ahead and test everything at your actual event if possible. So let's talk user permissions. Only an admin can modify or add levels. The user levels for Auctria are diverse. You can go from admin to none. And there's reasons for that because you only want certain people touching certain parts of your auction. Here's some descriptions from the most restrictive to the least restrictive. You'll find the first one is none. Sounds kind of odd, but they have no permission to view or edit the auction. But this is really used to provide a per auction permission. And you can set a user's default permission to none and then assign permissions on a specific auction or use none on a per auction basis to deny access to a specific auction and put it in as a placeholder. Read only can view the auction data but not modify anything. This is the access that you would want to give to somebody that may be helping you proofread your auction. You want to give them read only. You want them to see some back-end information, but you don't want them to touch anything. Read only is a great option for that. User. This permission can make normal changes. And by normal changes, I mean add bidders, add items, add donors, record bids, process checkout payments. However, this user isn't able to delete anything. This is the access that you most likely want to give to the helpers the night of the event. Then the next level up is your power user. They have the permission to make all the normal changes that we talked about, adding bidders, items, donors, recording bids, process checkout with permission to delete records and perform bulk operations on an auction level. So you'd want to give this level of permission to the people that are loading all the items into your auction ahead of time and putting in the details and the descriptions and the images. This level person cannot perform organization level operations though, such as creating a new auction or adding or deleting users. The admin is all powerful. They can manage the organization as well as the users, and only the admins can do credit card refunds. So you want to make sure that that's a select few individuals on your team so that you can have the proper access for the proper people for the proper work. Each Auctria event has its own dedicated website and a unique URL. And this is one of the best parts about Auctria. You don't have to go out there and create a whole new separate website just for your auction. Use the dedicated website for all phases of the auction fundraising activities. Your website setup is very detailed, and this really, like I said, deserves its own webinar. But in the meantime, here's a few best practices that I want to share with you that the successful groups have used for their Auctria website throughout the duration of the auction activities. So pre-auction, putting some information up on your auction, on your website about the event. Save the date, location, time, when things will be available, when the auction's opening, when you can buy tickets. You can also accept solicited items or pre-sale tickets. During the actual auction live time, I call it flipping the switch. You go from pre-sale to auction. You can have your online catalog. This is where that will reside. You can run all sales through there. You can register all your bidders, sell your tickets, your for sale items. If you're going online or mobile, you can do all your bidding through the auction website. Bidders can also pay their balances. Post-auction, it's not over. You still need to go back and thank your sponsors and your donors and your bidders. Use that auction website to announce the next event and, of course, announce how well the auction did and where the funds will be going towards helping the cause for your fundraising activities. When setting up the website, you have two decisions that need to be made. First is the type of template, and the second is the website address. So the website address will have a public address in the form of charityauction.bid/something. You can choose the something portion of the address. So in my examples, Teddy Bear Elementary can use charityauction.bid/teddybearauction 2019. Or like I said, my favorite elementary school can do charityauction.bid/bids for kids 2019 for their current year. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't advance that page. Here's an example of what those URLs would look like. And that's when you hit your create website. So templates, choose a template based on the website function. The template will automatically set up your website with the elements that you will likely need. You can customize them afterwards, but if you can figure out what you're going to use the website for, there's a lot of templates here that'll make it a heck of a lot easier. So there's templates that have auction preview only with no online bidding or ticket sales, donation drive for online fundraising and no bidding, event with online bidding only, an event with ticket sales but without online bidding, an event with ticket sales but with online bidding. There's a kiosk bidding template for bidding at an event. And there's also a kiosk report template for projecting winning bids. So you may want to have multiple templates running also. I want to draw your attention back to the main Auctria website page, which I'm sure you've been at some time. There is a plethora of information to help guide teams through all phases of the auction fundraiser. On the left-hand side, if you click on Auctria, you'll see Auctria news articles. In the middle, you'll see learning resources. Click for drop-downs for the user guide, fundraising articles, and previous webinar playbacks. The fundraiser articles are directly related to running an auction fundraiser, and they've been authored by the Auctria team throughout the years, and they're constantly being updated and revised. There's 30 titles, and a few of the hot topics are some of the things that are probably running through your mind right now, like finding donations, timelines and checklists, roles and responsibilities, finding and working with volunteers. There's tips in there on how to skyrocket your auction income, where to find donations, sample letters for procurement and thank yous. And there's also a list of your post-auction duties, because once the auction's over, it's not completely over. You need to make sure you thank everybody and do a couple other things so that you can set yourself up for success for the next event. In the Auctria news, this is current events, and it also contains Auctria partner contribution. And this is related to all things fundraising. And there's some really good expert advice on emails, social media, in-kind donations. And there's even a lot of stories in there from other auction teams outlining some of their successes. And the most recent and latest and greatest is the Auctria app. We're always adding new features, and we're proud to announce that in 2019, the release of Auctria's mobile bidding app. The app is available for both Apple and Android devices. When using the app, bidders receive immediate outbid notifications, which helps bids soar higher, much faster. We highly recommend this for events where bidders are scattered, such as golf or a sport tournament, and definitely if the auction is an online event. So here's a quickie view of the links that were referred to throughout the presentation. No need to jot them down. They'll be on the website page that will open after the webinar concludes. So save it, star it, favor that web page, and save it for future reference and sharing with your entire team. I want to let you know that you can always stay connected with Auctria. We are active on social media, and we do post daily to Facebook and Twitter. On Pinterest, we have over 500 pins that link to online donation request pages, as well as fundraising tips. And all of those are at Auctria, at Auctria, at Auctria. Email, you can always email us hello@auctria.com. And now you know how to knock on our door with the in-app messaging. If you want us to share your auction, which we get requests for also, that's great. We'd be happy to do so. Just tag us on your Facebook or Twitter post with @Auctria, and we'll be happy to reshare it. We love to share pictures and videos because they make all the posts more exciting. So include those too. At this point, this is the conclusion of our prepared remarks. And go ahead and drop any questions that you have into the chat box, and we'll also review those. And I'll invite Rob to come in and help me go through any of these questions. I haven't had a chance to look, so let me just take a minute to scroll in.
Okay, thank you, Laurie. Thank you for going through that, and thank you to everyone that's listening online, and appreciate you taking your time to join us this afternoon. I noticed there were a couple of questions about credit card readers, the USB readers, so we can certainly start there. They will work with Chromebooks. We certainly recommend testing them. It's always a good idea to test first, but we have successfully used those with Chromebooks. They basically look like a USB keyboard to the device, so anything that you can use with a USB keyboard should work. And if it does fail, you can still always manually type in the card number. The swiper is just a way of adding that information more quickly. There's no difference between a swiped card and one that you've typed in, so that is always available as a backup. Okay, if there are any other questions on that, yeah, please drop them in the chat box there, and we will review the others.
Rob, there's a question there. It says, I have a question about communication and emailing everybody. We have 3 different pages of fundraisers, 2 in the past. How can I email all the last year's donors to invite them all to the new year party, or thank them after? And should I email all the bidders or donors? That's dropped in here by Alice.
So there's a couple of features. You can email bidders or donors. They would be done as separate emails. In terms of emailing in donors, you can do that from the current event. You can select to email all donors. We store donors on a per organization basis. So while bidders and items are a per auction basis, your donors are not directly associated with any single auction. So they would be easy to email in one go. For bidders, you could send out an email from the previous event. We also have the ability to copy bidders over. Typically, we would only recommend that for if you're doing like an online only event. If you're doing an event with ticket sales where you're wanting to track guests more accurately, it is probably better not to copy all your bidders over, because you end up with a lot of people in the list that just aren't coming, and that just gets messy. You could copy them. You could email them from the last event too if you just want to send out a notice. That would work. So I'm just trying to keep up with
Rob, the next question is from Jessica. She asks, is there any additional fees if you enter a credit card manually?
No, there are no differences between a manually entered card and a swiped card in that regard. A related question we often get would be, what about chip cards? Do we support chip-based card readers? The answer is none of the readers we support do use the chip, but you can still swipe a chip card through them. It would just always count as an online transaction. So it's exactly the same as if that person was using their credit card online on a website to make a purchase. It's not considered a card present transaction.
Thank you. The next question comes from Darlene. It says, where is the history of emails for your auction located?
So this is a feature which is only available if you turn on the new email editor that Laurie was talking about. So historically, we've not actually had this for events. But if you enable the new email features, then if you click on Communications and Email Manager, there will be a list of all of the emails that have been sent, and you will be able to review those emails. There'll be a little icon there to click on to see them, and you can also see the status. So there are, if for some reason, sometimes bidders can go in and they can set their email preferences to I don't want to be emailed, and you'll see that email didn't get through to them for that reason. Awesome.
Tammy asks, can websites, items, and donors be copied over to new events? This is our first event, our first year using Auctria, and it's for our annual big event. It would save us a lot of headache if we're able to cover over these items from year to year and then edit them as needed.
Yes, so you can do that at two levels. You can either copy an entire event. So if you click on auction and then copy auction, you'll have a page which will let you create a new event using, and it'll give you options for what to copy over. Or if you create an empty auction, you can then at any point go in and click on, for example, items and then copy items to copy those over. So that would apply to items and bidders. And you can also copy the website over. Donors don't need to get copied over because they are stored per organization. So we automatically track which donors are considered active in an event. So as soon as there's an item in an auction that's come from a donor, that donor will be shown as active.
And I've done this for years, and we've always updated our stuff like that, and it's worked really, really smooth and saved us a lot of time. So the next question comes from Alice. What about the Square card reader, not a USB?
Yeah, we don't directly integrate with Square. That is something we've looked at and may be able to accommodate in the future. So you could use a Square reader today alongside Auctria, but it would not be an integrated payment option. So to us, it would be the same. At checkout, you could run the card through the Square app and would then record it within Auctria in the same way as if the bidder had paid by cash or check. So we're not processing that, and you'd have to use the Square app alongside the Auctria checkout page, but we can't directly support it.
Awesome. The next question comes from Kristen. How do you sign up for and get on the profit rate with Stripe? And I think that links right on the Stripe page that I'll include.
Yeah, so you would need to reach out to them. I think probably the easiest way is if you've already got the Stripe account, you can go through their website at support.stripe.com. Or you can reach out to their sales team. I think there's a sales@stripe.com alias will get you set up with that.
Kristen says or asks, our event was created prior to yesterday. How do we opt into the new enhanced features for the email editor? I'm sure she's referring to.
Yeah. So if you click on the communication link, in fact, we dove right into the questions. I will try and turn on the screen sharing. We'll see if that works. Okay, so that hopefully people can see that. I've now got a gray rectangle. It hasn't refreshed. So anyway, if you click on communication, there will be there'll be an option there where it says new email features. And you can click on that and you can turn on the email features for an existing event. There's a setting at the bottom there. The reason it's not automatic is the templates. If you've customized templates for your existing event, we can't convert those to the new format. They would have to be redone. So we don't want to change anything that's going to suddenly change the emails that are going out. So yeah, it's an opt-in setting. Great.
And Tammy responded to Kristen. What a great community we have here at Auctria, and I really appreciate it. Kristen wrote, or Tammy wrote to Kristen, we've emailed sales at nonprofit@stripe.com after we set up a Stripe account through Auctria, and I guess she was able to resolve or change her status to a nonprofit and get some more favorable pricing. Nora writes, is there a place where postage fees are added for shipping winning bids?
We don't have a dedicated shipping feature. So what you would do in this case is you would need to create an item that's a shipping item. So you would set the type to for sale, and you would set the title, the item number to be something like shipping. And you would have to then record a sale of that item to each bidder for the amount you want to charge them for shipping. So it's always a tough one with online auctions. Do you charge like a set amount, or do you only want to charge bidders what it's actually going to cost you for shipping, which can get complicated to work out. So we don't have any support for automatically generating a shipping amount. But once you've got that, you can go into the bidding sales page, and on the purchase tab, you could record a sale of your shipping item to that bidder, and that will then appear on their account. If you had a lot of them to do, the other option would be to create an Excel spreadsheet, and you could import the list of charges that way.
Gotcha. Thanks, Rob. There's another question from Alice. It says, when we want to add a new auction item, do we have to add it as an item or as a donor? And just as an aside, I didn't want to tell Alice, that's the next webinar that we're working on. Of course, we'll answer your question here, but it's all about adding items, adding donors, and working through and managing those. So Alice, you better tune in for our next webinar, but I'll allow you to answer the question here today too, Rob.
Yeah, terminology here, it can get a little confusing. There's a lot of overlap, particularly around items, donors, bidders, donations. They end up being referring to a lot of the same things. So we would say that anything that you are selling in the auction would be added as an item. The donor would be the company or the individual that is giving you that item to sell, if that's where it's coming from. We have a related feature for handling what we call donor donations, which are things that you are being given to support the event but are not selling.
So like if a dessert place wants to donate the desserts type of thing?
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's not something your bidders are going to purchase, but you want to record that in order to acknowledge the donor as well.
Great. I think that's the last of the questions. I'll give it a couple seconds here if anybody wants to go ahead and type an additional message, or if I missed any of your questions, go ahead and type it in again. There's a long thread here, and I want to make sure that I give everybody an opportunity to ask Rob your questions. It's like talking to a famous person that we see on the chat box all the time, and here he is live. What a great opportunity. Mike says, I didn't hear the answer. The USB card reader works on Chromebooks. Can you chat the answer?
I can do that.
Yes, we can chat that to you, Mike. That's no problem. Are there any other questions that anybody has? And if it's quiet, I'll go ahead and give you a little countdown here, and then I'll close out of the event or out of the webinar here, and it'll drop you into the page that has all the resources. And then as soon as we have a chance to download the recording here, we'll put that up for playback. That way you can listen to it over and over at your convenience, or share it with the rest of your auction team, because I know that auction teams do tend to turnover. You've got new people joining you all the time, and it'd be great to give them an opportunity to listen back to the webinar to kind of set the table and help them understand where the where Auctria fits into their auction processes. Though we recommend testing as early as possible. Oh, okay, that was Rob. Thank you for looking forward to the next one. Will you be doing a webinar for the checkout process, etc., at the event, or more detailed webinars on things like that? Yes, definitely, Brianna. We are definitely going to be doing a webinar on the checkout process. Let me check my calendar or my event. I think that's probably in the next second or third one from now. But if there's something in particular that you're looking for, we'd be happy to give you some information ahead of time. If you need help working through anything, our help department is always available. If you use the app, Hershey asks, if you used the app last year, will our 2019 auction replace the 2018 auction? Is it a different address? Are you talking about your website, Hershey? I mean, your auction? He or she. I'm sorry. I don't know if you're a he or she. It's an awesome name though. Oh, on the mobile phone. Gotcha. A girl, a sweet girl.
Yeah. So the auction would not immediately replace it. We have an archiving feature. So if you want to remove an event from the mobile app, if you set the archive date on the auction tab, so right off the dashboard, if you click on auction, there's an archive date field. That anytime we're past that date for an event, that event will be hidden from the bidders online or through the mobile app. So that's usually a good idea to set so that old events don't pop up when they log in and cause potential confusion. For the website address, you could choose which way to do it. So some groups will have a sort of generic address and they'll just roll it forward. The address can only be associated with one auction at a time, but you can sort of remove it from the 2018 event and use it for the 2019 event, or you can have an address that's more obviously got the year in it and is unique to a specific auction.
Thank you. Kristen asks, since the templates cannot convert, if we opt in, we have to create new ones, but will it change anything else?
No. So the only thing that turning on the new email features would be is that you get the new templates going forward. I mean, one of the big things about the new email editor, if you've used the old one, you'll understand it's kind of painful. You're editing the raw HTML of the email. The new email editor is much easier to use. You don't have to worry about that level of code. You can just drop text and images into it as a sort of more what you see, what you get type editor.
Awesome. Thank you. And I see Hershey put a thank you note up also. I'll go ahead and do another little countdown here for a couple seconds and see if any more questions pop up. And if not, I'll terminate and it'll pop to the resources page. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitter pages for our additional webinars and tips that we provide for Auctria, as well as a lot of interesting articles about philanthropy and fundraising in general. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Rob in particular for joining us today too. And I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for your time.